Welcome to another episode of Irish from Three with Coach Ben Smith. I'm Jason Holcomb, joined as always with the coach. Coach, we got, to me, this guy right here is the guy who established modern Dublin basketball. And I know he won't want to take credit for it, but in my opinion, what he did and the bar that he set helped set everything for you and generations afterward. We got Jermaine Hall straight from the 972. For those who aren't familiar, that's the country code of Israel. Jermaine, welcome to the show.
All right, man. Glad to be here.
Now,
glad to have you, my brother.
Now, when I say that lovingly, with respect, and sincerely, because anybody who knows, who's followed Dublin basketball, we've had different eras at points, but, you know, we went through a 20-year gap where we were not competing for region titles. And in 1998, you and your crowd went out there and put a banner up in the old Dublin gym, the real Dublin gym. Like, no offense to The Rock, but, you know, that's where a lot of real stuff happened. And I'm glad they're going to be fixing that thing up one day. But talk about that for a second. Talk about that experience leading up to a region championship. What kind of work went into that whole year?
I'll tell you this. With Coach Thomas, you know, when he came as a freshman, Coach Thomas was a rookie coach. It was the first year that they had hired him as the head coach. So he came in really naked with what he had to work with. And for us, I think my class of guys, we were some of the first guys that we was like just wanted to play basketball. We had a bunch of guys on our team that didn't want to like do nothing but basketball. So we played basketball like all the time. We played over in Jones Village. They closed Oconee Gym at 6. We go to Jones Village and play, and they had the lights out there. And we go and play over there to like 10, 11. I remember I'd come home sometime and my grandmother would be checking me like, where you at all the day? Like, what were you doing? You know, it used to be hilarious, some of the stuff she would say. You know, some of it was R-rated, of course. But that's all we did in the summertime. You know, like I remember, you know, myself, Kelvin Hunt, Keith Cooper, amongst some of the guys, we didn't want to do nothing but play basketball. You know, that was our thing. We was coming up, you know, that was what we wanted to do. So, and football had just come off of the Ryan Taylor's run when they went and he played every position, offense and defense, and made it to did they lose to Thomasville or somebody like this?
Thomas County Central, yeah.
Thomas County
Central, that's what it was. I know it was one of those groups down South Georgia. And so Coach Thomas always was talking about the Coliseum. That was all he talked about, making it to the Coliseum. That was our whole thing, you know. We fell short, but during the process, we got, you know, that banner, man. It was all and I think also too those guys that was winning in those years, they was like a myth or a ghost, like because we didn't know them. We couldn't, you know what I mean, with social media, internet, nothing. We couldn't Google search who Phil Wallace was or Rex Ellington and these other guys that played in those areas. We couldn't Google search these guys. You know what I mean? So we were sort of this running naked, running blind, but we had a goal. And Coach Thomas, you know, we got there finally.
Yeah, and I remember, you know, of course I was younger, so I remember coming to all y'all games because your cousin playing on our team, we was always tight. He was always talking about Jermaine, you know, and I remember just like being the kid and like you come to see the team, but you were that guy like, oh, we going to see Jermaine tonight, you know, making all those plays. So you know, you're inspiring us for our run. Like even though that you graduated in 98, and we didn't come to 2006, but you know that was still like embedded in our brains. Like, all right, this is how it's going. This is what we need to do when we get here. Like we have to be this good or be better. And one of the things you said, which is tough now, especially with us being single, and I'm sure you guys understand what I'm saying more than, you know, I don't want this to come off the wrong way. To get these kids to play basketball all the time is like such a tough thing to do now. And it's like, I mean, they're splitting football, and they need to play football because we don't have so many students. So our better athletes need to play both sports. But I don't think our kids grasp how much you can get better just by playing basketball every day. And that doesn't have to be under me, like coaching. Like just go to the gym and play against older guys and get better. I know you played at the gym all the time, just like I did the same things. A 3-on-3 tournament over there, Jones Village, playing TFL, Crab Park, all those type of things. But in this generation, Jason and I was having this conversation the other day, like we just can't get these guys to just play basketball. And I
think with the kids, I don't know. Maybe it's the distractions. It's good because we had like Brooks and Jason, Jason Balcom. They played baseball.
Yeah.
You know, Chad Brady was all-world football for us. You know,
Peanut.
You know, Drake Pooler, Dick Bailey. We had a good group of guys. Donald Wallace was like us guys that only played basketball.
Yeah.
So, and then you know, in the summer, I think you guys get more time in the summer than we did to go to camps and stuff. Because we could only go to one camp. So we had like 1 week of practice or 2 weeks of practice, 1 week of the camp, and then that was all we did with the team for the summer. But
I didn't even know that.
you know, but your pops and Mr. Bryan, they had the summer league going on all summer. You know, and I remember even one year, I think DeRico, when he was in college, DeRico White came and he played, and you know, it was a big thing down in the summer league. You come to the summer league, 200 or 300 people will be in the gym in the summer. You know, Children Wright, all these guys, you know, like these were the guys that was like they did stuff and they went off to college. So we knew that, like me and Keith, we knew them from the neighborhood, so we knew that. Okay, you can play basketball and go to college. You know, football I think football was just so dominant, and it was so much in the light. It was so good that it was football, girls basketball, and then us. You know what I mean? Because our girls basketball team, you remember with those girls, with Mignon Lindsay and you know, they had Mignon, Lucy, and all those girls that was big. All the girls were like 6'2".
Oh yeah.
You know, they was players. And
straight ballers. You had Tamithia Bonner, you had Rhonda Swain, you had Margaret Lee Cullen, you had Lucy Carter, Jenny Pritchett. Who else? I mean, they were just
Krista Martin. She went to Division I college. Lakeisha Wright, the principal at the school down in what Susan Ashley is, she went to play college softball and could play basketball. You know, they had the women's side, the girls side of it was another level, and we were sort of competing for that love also. Because if you looked in the gym, whose state championships pictures was in our gym?
Them girls softball.
The girls softball. You know, they won like before they moved to fast pitch, they won like 3 or 4 in a row. They did something crazy. So you know, it was competitive amongst us as well. Like
that's
I was hoping like this year, like the football team won state. They had a great run. You would think it would be competitive, you know, for everybody to step it up a little bit, you know. Cause
that's always the hope, you know. Go ahead.
Because you think about who played professional baseball from that era. I think Rusty Bill's brother played a little bit. Brian Millette played some too, right?
Yeah.
Who else? Jaisha Balcom, Terry Evans, even though I think Terry ended up transferring to Trinity maybe?
Yeah,
but
he did.
Still, you know, he was over there with us as well. You know, he played a little bit of basketball with us. But, you know, it was a competition amongst us as well. Like, we was trying to outdo the other sports. We wanted to be the big dogs on campus, so to speak.
How do you put that fire into kids?
Yeah, at any program, any good program, that's how it is. I mean, I was reading Gino book from UConn, and he was saying the same thing. Like the boys want to be better than girls. The girls, like within any school, you know, it's nothing ill will. You want everybody to do good, but with any great school, it's a quiet competition. Like, all right, we want to be the best program. Yeah, so that thing just push everybody to be better.
You talk about the competition. I'll never forget in weightlifting one year in Coach Woodard's class, they put us down in the basketball whenever Coach Woodard couldn't be in the weightlifting gym. And so we were down there playing basketball. And some little scrub boy was talking trash to Margaret Lee Cullen. And anybody who knows, that girl could shoot a ball. And she got tired of it.
She was a player.
Yeah, she got tired of it, and she finally, they started doing a little 3-point contest, and she dusted that boy, and all of us were just laughing at him. And that speaks to all y'all's points about, you know, having that little fire in your belly. Jermaine, what would you try to tell kids that are wanting to be Jermaine or wanting to be Ben, you know, or feel like they've got it in them potentially? What do they need to do? Because I know not everybody's going to be able to sign up to go play with the Atlanta Celtics, and not everybody's going to get to go to Wagner, but what do you have to do to prepare your mind and your body for that type of push?
I think you got to be coachable. First off, you got to commit yourself, you know, in the classroom and also, you know, whatever sports, whatever you're desiring to do. You got to commit yourself. You got to put in the work. Like, there's people that can guide you, but if you don't let them guide you and you don't do what they're telling you to do, you know, some people are just talented. Some people got the talent, and some of them you got to work for, you know, and have a little bit of luck at the end.
Most definitely. And I think, like Jermaine, because I mean, you're not old, but probably for our audience.
Hey.
They somebody older than me.
Yeah, in fact, just a little bit, by one.
I think you're like the only person from Dublin besides myself, you know, who signed the Division I scholarship basketball right out of school. Like, we have others to go Division I, but I think you were. So I think Rico White may have did that too, but just you know, for people watching, I want them to realize, you know, how, like, what you did for, like, you set the way, because we know, like, that stuff matters. Like, all right, when you go to a Wagner and you have a great career, then 8 years later, we're getting recruited. I'm getting recruited, and they say, well, it was a kid from Dublin who went to Wagner who was pretty good. Those kids probably got the same type of – because we actually ended up playing for the same coach, actually, as an assistant.
What?
Yeah, it's
wow.
Yeah, with Coach Bruce, it's crazy. I met Coach Bruce. I was telling some of the guys at Wagner, he was recruiting me for Howard University. And I was 16. They was one of the first schools to actually offer me, and I think it was my first or second visit. Me and my grandmother, we went together because she was really intrigued about, and we went. I think it was their homecoming weekend. We had a great time.
Oh, I know it was.
Bruce ended up 2 years later, coming to Wagner because he went to DeMaster High School. My coach, that was my head coach, went there as well, and it was instant, you know, connection. And he, you know, I told him it was just meant to be. We had a conversation a couple months ago because he was looking for a coach in Alexandria. He's an athletic director at his high school over there now. But yeah, man, it's one of the things when I was getting recruited, no matter where I went, like even with the AAU thing, you know, I was playing with the Celtics. Everybody, you know, we had guys from all over Georgia, and a lot of guys would just say they was from Atlanta. I would make sure that people knew I was from Dublin. You know what I mean? Like, I was always trying to make sure, yeah, I'm from Georgia, we from Atlanta, the group, but I'm from Dublin.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little bit different. When I got to New York, it was the same thing. I used to explain to people about Dublin. Yeah. You know, like, yeah, I'm from Dublin. Oh, yeah.
The same way.
From Atlanta. No, everything in Georgia is not Atlanta.
Yeah.
No, there's no disrespect to Atlanta. But, and you always wanted to represent. And like, we had a pride. There was some, you know, to say Irish pride. We had a pride that we went with no matter where we went. And you wanted to carry yourself a certain way. Also, because you say, how I carry myself is a reflection of, it starts with your family, it's a reflection of your family. You know, my grandmother used to tell me all the time, when you leave this house, you represent this family's name. We might not have much, but you represent this family's name. When they put your name on the back of that jersey, this is this family. You know, that's not just your name. You know, so that was one of the things that was like, okay, now I represent Dublin, and I want people to know that this is what we do in Dublin. We don't just play football. We got athletes down here, and we know, you know, we know how to take care of business. You know what I mean? So that it became that, and then, you know, like how it goes as you go on. Like now, you know, you represent your college as well, so it just builds a bigger stage for you. But,
No, I agree 1,000%.
And then it gave you something to think about before you would do something stupid, for example.
Yeah.
You know, because you read about a lot of, you see with social media, you see guys do a lot of bonehead things. You would say little stupid stuff. Now you thought about it already before you did it. You took a second, took a deep breath, and you thought about it before before you reacted, where you knew that everything that you build up to could be, I guess you say, crushed in a moment. You know what I mean?
They'll put that tag on you. Like if you just say you went this Wagner acting a fool, and I went to Jacksonville, then the next kid, and they'll be, them Dublin kids, they athletic, but they don't know how to act. Like, and then
I'll tell you, you
could just mess it up for the next generation.
We tried to get guys to come up from Georgia. I had a few calls and talks to guys that was in that circuit of AAU. I remember even when Warren was coming out, my coach was at Fordham, and he was like, "Yeah, we just wanted to see that we got a good law program and everything like this." So he wanted to bring Warren up to Fordham, and Warren was playing with Dwight and those guys with the AAU program. So people got a chance to really see him, and he wanted to bring him up, and that was something, man. It was, I don't know, it was it started at home, but like if that pride, you took it somewhere, and you wanted people to know, no matter where you was at, I'm from Dublin,
I love that, man. And when you talk about that Irish pride, I think people have seen that over the last year or two. I really feel like our fan base, and I think it's partly due to the success of our football team, but I also think that there's been, when Ben's talking about the new Dublin, I think there has been a resurgence of Dublin pride where people are remembering all the history that comes with it, and people like you that help establish a precedent. Talk about to these kids what, you've already kind of explained what does Irish pride mean to you, but how do you live out your pride every day? Like, how do you live out your Dublin Irish pride each day?
I guess proper planning prevents piss poor performance. 6 P's. This is what someone told me, right? So I know as I play against a younger, so I need to prepare myself a different way. I can't so I don't get caught up in things I did. I make sure I keep on thinking about things I want to do. And it's okay to write things down, read over it sometimes. People, I think a lot of times people use, say, a post or something as their diary. I write things almost every morning when I wake up. I'll get my phone and write down some of my thoughts for the day. Just off of trying to help myself grow. You know what I mean? And it's always good. Like The Last Dance was great for me, because it was a reminder of my childhood, and it was a reminder that the way that I act sometime in practice, it's okay. People that you know what I mean. The people I looked up to, this is how they got to that level. You know what I mean?
I was raised up this.
And I felt bad that Mike was like, I don't want the people to look at me in a bad light. No, man. Nobody. The people that respected and grew up on you. We need that reminder, because social media gives you so many things going through your head all the time. You sort of forget. Now, most of the things from the doc that went and channeled his younger years, we've seen all of that with Come Fly With Me and Hang Time, Above and Beyond, and the Jordan iMac, all of them different docs or whatever. But to see his interaction with the players more in depth, not G-rated, but more R-rated, like more reality.
Yeah.
Some of his actions, it reminded me so much of how my college coach used to be. Now, he competed against Mike when he played at NC State. They won national championship one year.
That's the coach. He shot.
He always talked about he was passing the ball, but we saw from practice he liked to shoot. He shoot in the middle of our practice, But I understood that old school mentality better, because he was dying hard. He he come in locker room want to put on a uniform sometimes because we didn't do it the way, that he wanted. And he would get out of practice and want to show us also, So those stories I hear about Mike going into the practice and playing against players and different stuff like that, I can understand these guys, man. The old school mentality it was a by any means necessary type of mentality. Like this is what I want to do. I'm gonna get there, and we're gonna get there. You with me or you against me? And I'm gonna bring you with me. And it's not gonna be pretty all the time.
And I felt like I pretty much said the same thing verbatim to Jason. Like it was fulfilling to watch it. Like it was like a verification. Like, all right, I'm doing all right, nothing's wrong. Because coaching sometimes, my first year, that was one of the biggest things. And then you play ball. Us smaller guys, we already gonna have more fire all the time. So
what you talking about?
Yeah.
Point guard already ready to fight.
Yeah. So this year and this and I'm definitely not letting up, but sometimes it's a balance because this generation, they don't quite understand that. Like they take it as far as personal and crazy more than just this is just passionate by any means necessary winning that you're getting from me. So if I don't have that, if I don't feel you giving that, then I'm just gonna keep pushing you until I fit, and every kid responds differently. So I think that was one of the things I learned going this year. But it was times where I thought, dang, am I doing too much? Is it too much? But then when I saw the documentary, I was like, nah, you right it. You running the path. You on the right path. Eventually they'll come along. I'm not saying, and they made great strides, but that was just one of those things, just subconsciously. Sometimes, because I'm sure you might can tell I can get, I get like that where I want to stay.
I've got pictures of that.
Yeah. So you can get tunnel vision.
Yeah. They'll miss the play.
We can get tunnel vision sometimes.
I can play work when I do it, and you're doing the same thing. You can't do it. So, but it was great seeing that, and I know they'll eventually get it. But just like you said about your childhood, it was just like one of those things. All right, just stay the course. It's coming.
Yeah. There's times where Coach Ben, I probably about 3 or 4 times this year at different moments where if he had lasers in his eyeballs, they would have been burning holes in somebody or something because you could just see. Yeah, like the way those little corneas were. I'm like, uh-oh, somebody's fitting to get lit up. And what the kids don't understand is that's all coming from a place of love because ultimately you're passionate because you believe in them and you believe in what they can accomplish, and you're trying to get them to believe with as much passion as you believe. And I think, me watching y'all, what inspires me about both of you is that you guys, every time I've watched you and whatever it is you're doing, you're bringing it. I remember when I tried out for basketball the one time with Coach T that year, and Coach T promised that he was going to spread it out and spread the team around, and then he goes, Jermaine, Barrett, Jeff, Keith, and I don't remember who else, maybe Peanut. And then it was me and 4 scrubs. And so I'm like, man, ain't no – yeah. I was like, what am I supposed to do about this? And I was the tallest one. So guess who I had to watch out for? Jermaine. But the thing that I learned through all that was even in that moment, you knew you were making that team. You knew you were good, and you still brought it. You still – my one claim to fame and my one Jermaine story that I tell 85 times to anybody who will listen is when Jermaine come up on the court, I told him, I said, you can do whatever you want, but you ain't dunking on me. And I cut his legs out from under him twice. And that's probably why Coach T cut me. Cause he's like, you can't be hurting my star. But that's cause I would let him have anything else. And I told him, I said, you could do anything else. You want to do mid-range. You want to do, a drop step. I don't care, but you ain't dunking on me because I guess where I've been playing at Oconee and Stubbs, that was the biggest shame. The biggest shame was to get dunked on. So I was like, no, but you brought it. You knew you were going to be on that team. You knew you were going to start. You knew you were going to play minutes. But even in that moment, you brought everything you had to that one moment.
I tell you, man, I enjoyed playing. You know how you snacks, today Coach will let us play 5-on-5. He's going to cut some of the players. These are the best times for us because at a moment, we lost the 5-on-5 like in say for there was a period of time when nobody's going to the Oconee and playing anymore because of football season. You know, I was in the band and we just didn't have time in the school. So we had a couple months where you didn't really get a chance to play you know, 5-on-5. So to come into those practices is okay, let's get in shape, let's set the tempo, and let's see who really deserves to be on the team. You know, that was the funnest part, I think, like about being in the tryout. Myself, in the summers, we have open runs. Most of the time, like I play in a group, I'll play for a couple years. We'll have open runs where we'll invite the younger players in. And the coaches say, hey, come and, you know, check out the guys. And I'll be like, no, I'm going to play. He'll be like, you sure you want to play? I'm like, what else I'm going to do? You got 5-on-5. I didn't play 5-on-5 for a month, for a month and a half.
Well, Jermaine, we've got to
we
got to start wrapping things up. We're gonna have to make this like a 10-part docu-series on Jermaine Hall, because like we didn't even talk about you being in band. We didn't talk about you and your academics. We didn't talk about you Wagner Hall of Fame. We just caught up with you because we missed you, and we want you to come to Dublin. Hopefully, when all this pandemics broke up, so we can all go get something to eat and talk about other things.
Yeah, we definitely got to have you back because definitely wanted to get into when you first went overseas, because I know it's a lot different. Like you wasn't able to communicate like how we communicate now. So we definitely need to talk about that. We'll have to bring you back.
We might just have to do a follow-up episode, but for this week, we're going to call it a day. We want to thank Jermaine coming all the way from the 972 over in Israel. Want to wish him safety. Want to wish him health. Want to wish his family health and safety. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode of Irish from 3 with Coach Ben Smith.